fuck is up, everybody?
How's it
I'm
going,
so I
everybody?
can yell again. Howdy, howdy.
Jesus.
Yep. We are back for more Fallout episode, Amazon Prime episode, episode goodness.
Cheers.
What are we gonna call this?
All of that.
I forgot. Yeah, I've had a half a beer, so I'm already drunk. Welcome in, everybody. This is Story Motors Podcast. We are joined today by our good friend Gage. Gage, say hi.
Howdy. What's up, everybody? Glad to be here.
Hi, Gage.
Gage. I'm Robert. That's Mike. You know who we are. But Gage, tell us about yourself. Where can people find you online? Because I know you don't stream yourself, but you are part of a very sexy group of people.
An illustrious, elusive group known as the Neon Pocket Dimension Heads. No, I don't know. I don't know what we call ourselves. We yes, I'm
Neon Pocket
co-host
Dementors.
On
right?
The Dementors. There it is.
There it is.
That's a potentially copyright infringing.
Well,
name.
fuck
I like
J.K.
it.
Rowling. She
Yeah,
can die in a fire.
knowing
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, she can come for me. I don't care.
Knowing who owns the copyright, fuck them.
Yeah, exactly.
Warner Brothers? What are they going to do?
yeah.
Make something and then fucking shelve it?
Yeah, they're like Warner Discovery garbage at this point, anyways. Yeah, I'm on a podcast called Neon Pocket Dimension. We stream weeknights, Wednesday nights at 7 Pacific time, 7 p.m. Pacific. So we talk about all things nerdy. We call it a small pocket dimension in which all things nerdy exist in harmony. So it's fun. We do all sorts of different topics on there. And then we also have a sub channel that's the Neon Gaming Dimension, which is like all of our gaming content. So we put out different videos, reviews, tier lists, some like game streams and stuff happen there. So yeah, it's fun stuff. I do it with Jesus, who's a fellow kind of funny best friend, and Steven the singer bro, who's also kind of funny best friend, and then our friend Miguel, who's kind of the straight man. He kind of doesn't sanction any of our buffoonery, so that's fun.
I was we had Jesus on as our first ever guest a few weeks back. He and Mike taught me all about mechs.
Tried to.
None of it.
He's retained none of it. Yeah, he's trying to. We have a specific emote that's just for Gundam updates when he just starts talking about Gundam too much.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then I was actually a guest on a recent episode of Neon Pocket Dimension where myself and a couple other friends were trying to teach Jesus about pro wrestling and why it's awesome. So
yeah, that was a really fun episode. I watched it back. I wasn't on it because I was actually that night making another video. That was like the first night that we were ever like making dual content alongside each other, which was cool. But yeah, that was fun. We were making a video on a bunch of Destiny stuff with Steven, who's a total Destiny nerd. So yeah, lots of proper nouns.
I don't get Destiny. I don't understand it.
Yeah, there's a lot of terms.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on and not a lot of sense happening.
Agreed.
I know that the small one from Game of Thrones was in there at one point, and then
Nickelbot.
he was your
Nickelbot.
ghost for a little while, the angry elf from Elf.
Yeah.
So angry.
Oh shit, Mike, how are you doing today, bud?
We're doing,
We're surviving.
life stuff is happening.
Yeah.
Not that I'm
the
super
waste.
pumped about, but hey, means I gotta spend money I don't want to spend on things I don't really need. But alas, here I am.
Like new tires.
No, I could throw.
I gave it a shot in the dark.
I should throw money at my car, but the check engine light's intermittent. It's a self-resolving issue. It'll be fine.
Yeah, most of the time it's just trying to like tell you that you left the hubcap or the gas cap off or something like that.
And I'm like, I know, car. Easy access later.
Yeah.
It's like, come on. Who's the idiot?
Listen, I'll deal with your problems later, car. I've got my own to deal with.
Got my own shit, car. Get off my back.
Buddy, one of us is easily
and get off my lawn also.
Get off my lawn because the city told you that you had to. Fucking bureaucrats.
Fun fact, some municipalities will just yank that shit off of your lawn, whether you want them to or not.
I don't like that at all.
Happened to a guy I know. Yep.
The housing association or something.
Nope. City of Kaysville just yanked one of my buddy's cars off of his lawn. To be fair, it had been sitting there for 8 months. So,
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
listen,
that's all I got.
they already were that house, and then the car sitting there for 3/4 of a year really cemented them.
Solidified. Yeah.
Yep.
We had that house on our street, and there was a sign on the door, and we were like, "Oh, I wonder what that is." And then, being the nosy person, I kind of looked up what it was. Meth. They found meth.
All
Cooking
right.
meth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, everybody's got to have a hustle,
You know, whatever. Yeah.
And they weren't allowed to go into the house, and they, I guess, moved into the trailer in the parking lot. And then you would drive by there, like, kind of later at night, and they had the front door of the house open, and they were just pulling things out and putting for sale signs on it. And I'm like, I don't think that's safe. But, whatever.
No. But also,
Wild
you
times.
probably could have scored some good deals. You really,
Probably
really
could've,
wanted
yeah.
something.
Yeah. Anyway, enough about the meth house. We're here to talk about a couple more episodes of Fallout on Amazon Prime.
Wait, before we get going.
Oh, go ahead.
How are you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm good.
Aw.
I got some beers. I've got, as you can tell, I'm no longer, what is the word? I want to say
Blurry?
muted. That's not it. Blurry
Nope.
in the background, because I actually cleaned out this room a bit. So we just have a bunch of wrestling and or soccer memorabilia on my wall here.
Nice.
So got
Shout out to Chelsea.
yep. I have a Chelsea flag here and a Chelsea flag right in front of me too. A slightly different
Surrounded?
one, and that one has a couple signatures on it from some Chelsea youth.
Ooh.
But what do we got? We got a broken piece of a door from a GCW show signed by wrestlers.
I was gonna say, is that a wrestling thing? Makes
Yep.
sense.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Went to a GCW wrestling show in Wyoming. And they used the door instead of a table. So at the end of the show, after the last match, I grabbed a big old chunk of the door, and then I brought it around to the wrestlers' tables and had them all sign it. So
Are those all signatures, or is some of that blood?
no, those are all signatures. The blood is on the
Okay.
backpack that's not on screen.
Right.
Oh.
So I had a backpack,
Okay.
and I was like, Nick Gage, will you bleed on this? And he's like, fuck yeah. I was
Wow.
drunk. I was real drunk.
Wow. I mean, as one should be at wrestling, probably.
Yeah.
Somebody in that interaction had to have been hammered.
Yeah, and that right there is a poster. You can't read the words on it, but it's a poster for Effie's Big Gay Brunch Tampa, and
Hey.
one of the main event is the Twink Battle Royal, but you can't read the writing on there. So
Amazing.
yeah, and then just a few other things back there. There's a chair
All right.
from
Yeah.
AEW Double or Nothing from a couple years ago.
Hell yeah.
So but yeah, I'm doing good. I spent a good amount of time doing this last week, and I'm just so happy that I don't have a blurry background anymore.
Nice.
So it's also going to come in handy when I start interviewing people for work. But yeah, back to it. Yeah, once again, we were talking about a couple episodes of Fallout. And before we jump into episode 4, The Ghouls, Gage, tell us, what's your history with Fallout? Were you a fan? before
Totally.
the show, anything?
I'm a huge Bethesda game studios fan in general. My Morrowind is in the running for like my top 2-3 favorite games of all time. It's like one of the first big Western RPGs I ever played, and it just kind of blew my mind. So then that led me into Oblivion, and then right after that, Fallout 3. So I've never played Fallout 1 and 2. I'd love to have like a better opportunity to play those at some point, like and go back and play them. Like whether I just feel like maybe we're due for a remaster or remake at some point. Who knows what'll happen with the Fallout future. But I would like to play them, but they're just like they really haven't aged all that well, and they're that kind of old CRPG vibe, and they're really pretty punishing from what I understand in some ways.
Punishing and bleak.
Yeah, and just even the color palette of themselves just being so like grim and gray and brown. So maybe one day I'll get to them. But Fallout 3 is a fantastic game. Spent so many hours in that game. I'm pretty sure I did every like quest that wasn't just a what do they call them? Just the kind of random quest that they keep feeding you. Yeah. So like every like main
quest, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I'm pretty sure I've done that in that game. Whether it was all in the same file, maybe not, but like over the time, And then played New Vegas and loved it. I've played that many hundreds of hours in that game. And then Fallout 4, I think I've only actually played through it the one time, but I recently started inspired by seeing the show. Recently started a new profile on it, and then a couple years back there was a profile that I just spent like probably 40 hours just base building in that game and played it more like Animal Crossing than I did Fallout, where it was like my entire thing was just go out and gather every resource I could and then come back and just build bases. So that was fun. It was like almost playing like a different game entirely. But yeah, I love Fallout. I think in general Bethesda does really cool stuff, but I think Fallout is just like such a unique universe with the balance of it being, as we'll see in the show, like so grim and bleak and yet like colorful and goofy and weird. And it's also one of those games that like just having it on in the house or whatever, like even my wife like likes when I play it because there's just like fun 50s music happening and like weird goofy people and stuff like that. So I don't know, it's just a very unique and iconic franchise, I think. So yeah, big fan. And then we'll get into these episodes specifically, but the show as a whole I absolutely love, and yeah, it's cool. I'm stoked to have more Fallout in our life.
I think we've said it on the past couple episodes. I think they fucking knocked this show out of the park, and it's very clearly made by people who are fans of the game and of the universe, and not just people who work at Paramount who happen to get the Halo license. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You know, big difference there.
I think it's one of the most impressive like examples of taking a video game property and just making like something for another medium and like nailing both the other medium, right? Like just making a good television show, but also incorporating all of the things that really make the game without really kind of beating you over the head with them. It's not like looking at the camera and being like, see what we did there? See the fact? See? You know, like it's not really relying on the member berries for it to be good, you know what I mean? Like it's still
they're
just a good,
there as
story.
like a garnish for people who have played the games, but
totally,
yeah.
And the world itself still feels like it's a cohesive Fallout world.
Yeah.
But again, it's not the fact that you're seeing these Fallout things that's the reason to watch the show so much. Like my wife, for instance, again has been around while I've been playing Fallout, but she's never like experienced any of them herself. But she really enjoys the show just as a good show. You know what I mean? So I think that's like the first and foremost key when you're adapting something to a movie or a show or whatever it is. Like make it a good thing, whatever that thing is, first and foremost, and then dress it with all the stuff that makes it whatever the property is.
This is going to be a weird kind of link, but stick with me. Do you know The Lonely Island?
Oh, totally.
Yeah, like Andy Samberg, Akiva Schaffer, Jorma Taccone. They did, like, they've done interviews and everything, and they said something about like their comedy raps and the funny raps and everything. And they're like, when we make a song, the first thing we do is make like a song that people would want to listen to. And then, like you make the beat and you make the music that is actually good and somebody would want to listen to. And then we put the, the comedy pretty much on top of that. And that's what I think the Fallout show has done, is they made the world, they made the show good and good enough for kind of anybody to want to watch. And then they peppered in, like the member berries and like the little things here and there for people that love the games and can be like, oh yeah, this is why this happened and this and this and this, and like are making all those things. And I say that as I've had at least now two people, my brother and then a good friend of Mike's and I named Benji, who have both watched it. Neither of them have played the games. And Benji was texting me things during it and like asking me, or what's oh yeah, one of the things is I watched 3 episodes. It's kind of like I'm watching an RPG. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
And something that he said that I've seen a lot of reviewers say, I hate the music. I'm like, the fuck is wrong with you?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Weird. I guess I could see how that might be like kind of unexpected if you were, you know what I mean? Like and also like in the age of like TikTok and everyone being influenced by that kind of stuff, that maybe they're like, why is all the music stuck in this one feeling? But it's like, I don't know. I mean, there's that. It's quintessential, you know what I mean? It's so necessary. And then, they haven't, up until this point in the show, you don't really have any of the In On Zur actual like Bethesda game soundtrack really in there.
Yeah.
But I know that they do pepper it in some later episodes, so there you go.
Yeah, it's all just like the 50s stuff. But
If they're hating it now, wait until season 2 when I shove Marty Robbins down their throat.
one of the things that I want to about Benji really quick texting me again. So last Tuesday, I texted him. I was like, "Hey, recommendation: watch Fallout. I think you'll dig it. Just from other things that he's liked." It's like, "Do you have to understand or play the game?" I said, "No." And he's like, "It's kind of post-apocalyptic, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, kind of." And that was at 4:00 on Tuesday. At 6:45, Monty fucking sucks. Should have been me marrying Lucy. I knew he sucked from the surface and stabbed the shit out of her. And I'm like, he's in.
He's there.
He's fucking in.
Oh, man.
And then we got into a debate as to whether or not they would be able to use cars and that the Chinese government may or may not have killed Lightning McQueen.
Cars, like the movie car. I was like, what?
Yep.
We need to...
Well, he was like, why don't they just get in a car and drive there? And I was like, they've all been destroyed. And he's like, they've got helicopters. I was like, yeah, those weren't destroyed. And he's like, then why aren't the cars? And I was like, the Chinese destroyed them during the war.
Do we need to get Benji on for an episode?
I think we might. I actually sent him a link to the first episode. I was like, hey, if you're interested, watch it. And he's like, you know what? I don't think I'm that interested. As much as I love you guys, I don't know if I'm this deep in it. But,
just you wait, my little raccoon lord.
But yeah, it's a great show that, once again, it fits for people who don't know the game and people who love the games, like the three of us. But what we're here for today is we're going to go over episodes 4 and 5 and kind of just our kind of a little recap of what the episode was and our thoughts, especially as three people who have played, most, if not all, the games except for 1 and 2, which there are a couple of modding things, community mods, that I found one of them a little while ago called Project Arroyo, where there's a team making Fallout 2 in Fallout 4's engine.
What? That's awesome.
And then I saw another one today that was Fallout Project 13, which is a team, recreating Fallout 1 in the Fallout 4 engine.
That's so cool.
Either the Fallout 4 engine or the New Vegas engine, one of those, but
yeah.
It's like a big mod. So
damn, that would be really cool.
Yeah, so I'll when those come out, I mean, that's probably not coming out for a couple years. I think Project 13 said they're going to be able to get a demo out by the summer, which is dope. Okay. So we'll see, what that's like. So yeah, let's jump into episode 4, The Ghouls.
The Ghouls.
Which is just an incredible name and so good. So I've got a recap up here from whattowatch.com. We're just going to kind of quickly run through this.
Sure.
So at the end of episode 3, Maximus has, he's got the power armor. He's got Thaddeus as his squire now, and Thaddeus thinks that he is, Knight Titus. But episode 4, we actually don't go back to them at all, Maximus and Thaddeus. So we basically got 2 stories, the Lucy and the Ghoul, and then what's happening in Vault 33. So the Ghoul is leading Lucy around the wastes. They, let's see, they're kind of walking through. They pass Westside Clinic, and the Ghoul sees a friend of his, supposedly, or another Ghoul named Roger, who's kind of acting kind of weird. And what's happening is Roger asks the Ghoul for, like the serum or like the medicine or something. We don't really get an exact, hey, I want, Rad-X or Radaway or something, but like, hey, do you have anything?
He asks for a vial, says, can I get a puff?
Yeah, can I get a puff? Which is what we saw the Ghoul doing in it was either the last episode or the episode before, where he's got the inhaler, puts a thing in there, puffs it, and he's, as he's coughing. So what we realize is that Roger is now, he's kind of turning into what's called a feral ghoul, which is pretty much just kind of a zombie. And the Ghoul does the nice thing. Distracts him, he's like talking about old world food, and then executes Roger. And then does what anybody else would do, carves up the body and starts eating it.
I definitely, when he started like just kind of talking about nice things to him, I got ready because I just felt like I knew already what was coming, but my wife totally did not. You know what I mean? We were sitting there on the couch together, and it's just like, one, just kind of like zombie movie trope, but also like Fallout being what it was, I was just like, ooh, he's like, and it like cuts away to his face. I'm like, no, he's for sure getting shot right here. And my wife was just like, ah, and I was just like, yeah, I'm sorry to tell you, it's brutal, but you know, it's all good.
Harsh out there in the
She was
wasteland.
she was the Lucy in this scenario. And I was like, you gotta do what you gotta do, you know. And then of course you loot everyone for everything they got. So
Yeah,
you know.
including ass jerky.
Ass jerky.
You know,
and then you make your friend or hostage. Like, why am I doing this? Here you go. Here's a knife.
There's a few things in the show that I think are referencing subtly, if anything, like what you do with your companions in Fallout. Like one of the things that like my wife and I were both kind of puzzled at first is, you know, when the squires of the Brotherhood, they have those huge packs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was and I was kind of joking. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's just like a reference to the fact that you make your buddy in Fallout, or your companion, like just carry all of your shit. You know what I mean?
And it's a visual representation of being over encumbered.
Yeah, exactly. So that, and then like this is another subtle thing of like, oh yeah, why don't I just make you do this? You know, that kind of thing.
Is it a baby back there? Does the baby want to eat a ghoul?
That was a baby. She's going down for a bed, and she was not excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. We're talking Fallout, and you know, baby wants to be here for it, but baby can't form coherent sentences, and we only barely can. So, like, we can't have four of us. So when we after we've got Lucy having to cut up the body and everything, we cut back to Vault 33 when two of the overseer, the two of the three people who were kind of acting overseer after Hank left, are putting up posters for the next election. And I didn't. Does anybody have the note of what those posters said? Because I know they were kind of.
One of them is work with Woody.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I can't remember what the other one is.
Yeah. But yeah, Woody and Reg are putting up posters, and then they're kind of watching one of the raiders that they have, who fucked up the vault in episode 1 through a window, and they're talking about info they tried to get from them but couldn't get anything. And then as they're kind of talking, cuts over to Betty, the other third kind of almost acting overseer, who seeks out Norm, the little brother from Hannah Montana, and is like, hey, you're the last McLean, your father was the overseer, your sister Lucy left, your voice carries a lot of weight because of who you are, so just kind of keep that in mind. Almost in a way that can be seen as either hey, you know what, keep up, you're important, or you better do the fucking right thing when it comes down to it. Excuse me. So, cuts back to Lucy and the Ghoul. Lucy finally succumbs after walking from the last episode to this one with no water, because the Ghoul has been just a complete asshole. It's like drinking water, pouring it on the ground. He's like, well, that sucks for you. They stop by some irradiated water. Her pit boy is going crazy, but she has to drink it because she's almost, she's close to death.
Yeah, totally.
So as she's doing that, the Ghoul starts to cough, and Lucy kind of sees that as a way to escape. Starts to run into like a hole. The Ghoul grabs her, with like a lasso, brings her up, ties her up, and then she turns and bites his finger off, which I was like, oh, that's pretty hardcore. And then the Ghoul is just like, oh,
neat,
yeah, and then pulls out a knife and cuts her finger off.
Yep. And then he's like, now that might have been the closest thing to an honest exchange so far.
Yeah. So now Lucy is missing a finger, but the Ghoul has all of his because he just got hers, And we go back to Vault 33, and we have a weird scene here between Steph, the pregnant vault dweller who was stabbed in the eye with a fork.
Oh, yeah.
And Chet, the former, gatekeeper of the vault. Steph stops by into Chet's bunk. It's like, hey, how you doing? You lost your job. You lost the love of your life, your cousin Lucy. And Steph brings him kind of a box of her husband's things. And then in trying to console her, he's like, do you want me to put this cardigan and scarf on?
Yeah, she starts kind of dressing him.
Yeah, in her
after he
said, dead husband's
clothes.
Yeah.
After he just goes out there and just like, Well, what more can you say?
Yeah.
Oh,
And he's like,
She's-
was it in a previous episode where he's like, he took real good care of his shoes.
that's
and
this one.
Okay, so when she gives him the shoe, and it's like obviously it's like size 9, and he's like 6'3",
Yeah.
and like not gonna fit. He's like, I'll try and wear it. Cool.
Yeah, she dresses him in her dead husband's clothes, and then is just so emotional, starts making out with him.
Mm-hmm.
And before anything can really happen, she goes into labor. Because she's very pregnant.
Well, she doesn't look that pregnant, I will say, just as someone who just has a 1-year-old daughter and recently went through the whole thing. I was just like, she would be a lot like, even if she's skinny, she would still have a lot more going on.
Yeah.
But
I mean, she is also probably pretty malnourished down in the vault, even though there are fat people. But still,
there is that. There is
Shout out
that.
to Woody.
Shout out to Woody.
Shout out to Woody. Fuck yeah, Woody.
Shout out to Woody and his obsession with Jello cake.
There you go.
So, go back to Lucy and the Ghoul, and they are at a Super Duper Mart, which is another, just staple from the video game series. Ghoul buzzes in and offers a female near mint condition for 2 months' supply.
He looks at the finger and goes, near mint
condition. Near mint condition.
They say we need to see her, so he sends her in. She kind of really doesn't want to, but the Ghoul's like, yeah, I've got you tight. You're going in. She goes in. Ghoul falls over. He's like passes out. She walks in the building. Doors shut behind her. Now she's trapped. But instead of the people that we were talking to on the intercom, we see a Mr. Handy, voiced by the beautiful Matt Berry.
Oh yeah,
fucking IT crowd. Just What We Do in the Shadows, the show. Incredible voice. Very, very unique, very powerful, really, voice. So, goes in there, sees the Mr. Handy, and the Mr. Handy sees that she's missing a finger, and he's like, oh yeah, we'll take care of that. Follow me. And goes over into a clinic, and says, hey, go ahead and take a seat. And then he opens up a drawer just full of fingers.
Mm-hmm.
Because, of course, it's got fingers. Grabs one of the fingers, puts it on there, fixes her up, and with, the future of technology. Now, that finger's just good, but it's a different color.
Stores
I definitely saw, like, just being, like, I would be so disturbed if my finger was just this, like, dead flesh color for everything.
Yeah. Well, I just love what he said as he's, like, rifling through the drawer. He's like, our finger stores are in a sorry state. Yeah. You're lucky I'm not having to use a thumb.
Yeah.
Man, and her just being at peace for that brief second.
Yeah, for a moment, she's found something in this world that is taking care of her and is being nice. And then
trust.
Something that she can trust. And she's like, oh, you know what? That guy's been treating me bad. I thought he was going to sell me into slavery. And the robot's like, no, I'm only going to harvest your organs, and shoots her with a tranquilizer.
And she's just instantly like, oh, this is the worst.
Yeah. Go back to, once again, like I said, we're going between Lucy and the Ghoul and Vault 33. So back to Vault 33, and Norm is on his new job of bringing food and dessert down for the prisoners from Vault 32. Norm, he kind of just like lets the other Vault dweller that's stationed there take everything because he doesn't give a shit.
She takes the big leftover Jello cake, which gives him an opportunity.
Yeah, so she leaves with the Jello cake. He tries to, look through the slot and almost tries to like talk to the people, being like, we saw what you did to those people, what you did in Vault 32, and
those nice innocent people in Vault 32.
Yeah, and then the raider, before he can like close the little slot that he's talking through, says something about how they were anything but innocent in Vault 32. Later,
so he gets a new. He starts to ponder, what he's being told versus what he,
exactly. Yeah, yep. He wanted them to just like kill these raiders, but now they've said something, and he's like, okay, there's something more that we're not being told here. And he's cycling through. Later, Norm is cycling through comms logs for Vault 33, and he's denied access to anything from Vault 32. Sorry. And he goes and finds Chet to ask why. Chet opens, he goes to Chet's room to be like, hey, he might know. He was the gatekeeper. And invites Chet out, and Chet's just like, yeah, let's go, as Steph is giving birth in the background of his room, because he just does not want to be there.
And Chet is still wearing the cardigan as this interaction is happening.
Yeah.
And he like tries to lean over so Norm can't see what's going on.
He's like was just about to get laid, and then like instead he's like thrust into like a new dad position, and he's like, how is this my life right now? Yeah, all I wanted to do is get down with my cousin, but oh well.
Yep.
So they go to the entrance to Vault 32 that was destroyed by Moldaver's bombs, which I feel like this is one of those things that I was a little confused on, because I'm like, if there's some, something behind Vault 32 that people in 33 know about, wouldn't you have somebody there to stop anybody from going to Vault 32?
Yeah. Like that.
But, whatever. They're able to just go over there, move some rocks, get through.
I kind of chalked it up to like it's been a little chaotic lately, so maybe they don't have all the protocols in place type of thing. Yeah. But yeah, I kind of balked at that too a little bit.
Yeah, and it's what I liked is that they walk through their cornfields to get to the back of the vault, to go through the door to Vault 32, right into their burned fields of crops.
Cornfields. Yeah.
So like they walk through what it's supposed to be, and they see not just, like dead crops or anything, but like it looks like shit's been burned and destroyed.
Like this wasn't a blight like Moldaver said in the first episode. This is like people destroyed the crops.
Yeah. So people fucked this shit up. And another thing that I fucking loved about this scene, and I notated it, is one of those dumb things that as a fan of the game I saw it and just made me smile, is they use their Pit-Boy flashlights like you would in the game. Like if you've got power armor or whatever, you've got a headlight, but if you're only wearing like a vault suit or just like regular armor and you have a light, it's from your Pit-Boy, and they do that. They turn that on, and it's fucking love that.
Yeah, totally.
And as they're kind of exploring and they're seeing, just death and kind of destruction and all this stuff, they see another, like a dead vault dweller who's been there obviously for a while. Check the Pit-Boy, and the last biosignal was over 2 years ago, which means that these people have been dead for 2 years, yet nobody's really... They've known there was a blight and that their overseer died, and that's it.
Yeah, that's all they've been told.
Yeah.
And one thing
Go ahead.
One thing I kept notice, like, as they're going through and exploring just the chaos that is this vault, there's stuff written on the walls.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. One of it is death to management is in the overseer's office, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. We know the truth is written on the wall.
It's on the door, isn't it? It's on, like, the vault door. We know the truth, I think.
No, that's... You're jumping ahead, but there is something written on the door to Vault 31.
Okay, yeah. Grim feeling, Vault 32 killed each other with no indication of why.
No. And then some, it looks like killed themselves. Like there's that one that has like the fork jabbed into the toaster and stuff, which I was a little like confused as to why they would have killed themselves. Yeah. But maybe they were like one of the council or something, and like the other ones revolted or whatever. I don't know. It's
Yeah. So it's just them walking around, seeing death, destruction. Everything is kind of destroyed. There's dead bodies like in the windows of the fucking rooms that they're walking past. And we know the truth written on the wall with some dead bodies by it. And they're like, what the hell? And we cut back to Lucy in the store. She is strapped to the gurney, being pushed through like the store's like refrigeration units by the Mr. Handy, who they refer to as Snip Snip. These
Snip Snip.
Yeah, good old Snip Snip.
Good old Snip Snip. Pushes the body and everything, the gurney, in front of these two guys who refer to it as Snip Snip, and they accept the ghoul's trade for 60 vials. Once again, we don't know exactly what these vials are. You can kind of make an assumption that it's some sort of, possibly just like a rat away or something, which would also go ahead with when you first see the ghoul and he's buried underground and he's got the IV.
The drips.
You know, that looks like that could be exactly what that is. It's just some sort of rat away to kind of keep the feralness at bay. And they tell Snip Snip to go ahead and get the procedure going as fast as possible so they can be ready for, whatever the next pickup, whatever that is. Snip Snip, the arm, starts buzzing with the buzzsaw over Lucy. She, she comes out of her stupor a bit and she's able to kick the blade. And
before that, as he's pushing her over there, he's just making small talk with a semi-conscious person. So, where are you from? Never been there. Hope to go there myself one day.
Bedside manner.
Those automated processes. Yeah, it's so funny.
Oh, so great.
Yeah, and obviously, plot armor. She kicks this buzzsaw, and it just happens to hit the restraints and cuts her free. Robot starts to come back. She grabs defibrillator units, fries the robot. It kind of, falls down. She gets the robot, and we cut back to the two guys who were just sitting on the couch. And this one guy, I don't know his name, but he's always the same fucking character.
The guy on the left?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a total character actor and just plays stoners or junkies.
Yeah,
exactly.
And you see him and you're like, oh yeah, that's that guy. And she walks up with the robot and is like, you surrender and let me go, or you're gonna destroy the robot. And they're like, okay.
Yeah. It's like holding an air conditioner hostage.
Yeah.
That's a great quote.
Yeah. And then she says, oh, and I've filled the syringes that I could shoot you with Abraxo drainage fluid. And now they're like, oh, okay, you can go ahead and leave. That's fine. But she orders them to... She's like, I'm not leaving until you release these prisoners. And the prisoners she's referring to are ghoulified humans in... lockup in the kind of the refrigerator units of the store that have been retrofitted as prison cells, essentially.
It's in the cold case,
Yeah,
in the cold case. Also, just one thing about Abraxo cleaner. I mean, Abraxo is just one of those products that you see in every store in Fallout as you're playing it.
Yeah,
but it is I guess it's a component when you're crafting nuka grenades. So that's just a fun little tidbit I found. But it's just another attention to detail as far as the products that you see on every shell, the sugar bombs and all that kind of stuff. And the blood bag that's in there too is another one that I noticed. Is straight out of the game.
Oh yeah, isn't it? It's the pack and it's got the sticker, the tape on it that says blood.
Blood. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just straight from the games. Once again, it's those little things where. It's I've got Abraxo drainage fluid in here, so somebody doesn't hear that. Somebody doesn't know the game hears drainage fluid. It's like, oh, that's probably not healthy. And you hear the word Abraxo as a person who's played the games, and you're like, haha.
Exactly.
It's that fucking
there it is.
Leonardo DiCaprio meme. So she's like, release everybody before, or I'll shoot you. And they open up most of the units, and these ghouls start to come out and be like, oh my god, we're free. But they don't release everybody.
Well, one guy doubles back and says, thank you, and then runs back again.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah.
But they don't open everything. There's still ones that are closed and locked, and she's like, I told you to release all of them, and, shoots off one of the darts, and they're basically being like, you don't want us to, and she's like, no, you're doing it. And they're like, fine, open up all the doors, and then it's kind of your... kind of like a zombie film, where these are all now feral ghouls that they didn't let out for that reason. They can't be reasoned with. They're, they're gone.
They're just out there to kill.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah. So they've, they escape, and then Lucy has to kind of, she quickly realizes, oh, fuck, this might not have been a good idea, and runs as the ghouls try to attack her and these two dudes. They, shoot most of the ghouls except for one, and...
The one who kept repeating, my name is Martha.
Yeah, my name is Martha.
Lucy's heartstrings.
You can tell that ghoul is, kind of at the very end stages of being a full-on feral ghoul, and is trying to retain something, but, just can't. Lucy tries to be like, Martha, that's your name, that's your, trying to...
It's like, you can hold out, but...
Yeah. trying to reach out, and doesn't work.
And grabs the trusty 10 mil.
Yeah, grabs a 10 mil, and the only thing that she can do is shoot Martha in the head. Or, kill Martha because Martha's...
And this is this is kind of the turn, right, for her in a lot of ways, because like outside, she drank her first radiated water.
Yep.
She kind of like gave into violence with the ghoul, and then this is the first thing we see her kill, right? She hasn't had to do so beforehand. And so really it feels like when she comes out of this supermarket, she's kind of a changed person. Yeah. Even just the way she like ties up her thing, she's got blood all over her shirt, she's got her gun, and she's like, all right, fuck it, let's go to the wastes,
Yeah. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting that I'm probably, reading way too much into, is you've got that shift in character where she's changed. Mm-hmm. But Lucy also now has the physical representation that she's not the same person with this dead finger on her hand. So anytime she looks at her hand, no matter what, even if she saves her father, she gets back to the vault, everything's A-okay. She's got this thing to remember that she's not the same Lucy that left the vault.
Yep.
That's a piece of the outside world that's affected her. Yeah, that's a good piece of symbolism.
And that's another one of those things where throughout the rest of the series you see that finger is, the same thing, which is something they easily could have just been like, oh yeah, and then, the blood went back to the finger, it looks normal. No. For the rest of the series, when you see her hand, that finger is dead.
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
It's not dead, it still moves, but it's, you know what I mean.
But yeah, it's,
So.
It looks funky.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Probably smells bad.
Oh, yeah. But then for as much as she's changed, when she comes out, she's talking to the passed out ghoul.
Yeah.
Being like, so if you don't get this, you die. Like, you turn into one of them, right? And just... there's an opportunity for her to be like, well, that sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
Just got to go ahead and take care of you like we do a snake and just whack you in the back of the head with a shovel. But no. She drops those vials for him and hits him with golden rule, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And then about her business.
Walks away. But before we get to that, we do go back to Vault 32.
Oh, yeah.
For another thing. And Norm and Chet have gotten into the Overseer's office. It's destroyed, the computer destroyed and everything, and what is probably the Overseer is straight up just strapped into a chair dead.
Yep, with a big machete through his neck.
And they are able to actually look... No, well, the terminal is not destroyed, but they're able to kind of look through it, and they see that the Vault 32 entrance was opened from the outside, and when they say who opened it, what Pip-Boy, because it has to be opened by a Pip-Boy, it was opened by Rose McLean, Norman Lucy's mother, who has been dead for way more than 2 years.
Yeah, so...
and then we cut to, Lucy dropping the vials, golden rule motherfucker, and she walks away. And the episode ends with the ghoul back in the store. Obviously he's got... He's done the stuff. He's just grabbing as many vials as he can carry. He sits down on the sofa. Yeah, he sits down on the sofa to the TV, and it is his own show from pre-war.
It is. So it's not just a show from pre-war. Yeah. It is The Man from Dead Horse, and it is that ending that he talked to the director about.
Yeah, the one that he was trying to fight against.
Yeah. Like, why do I have to shoot him? I don't feel like my character would shoot this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting parallel, right? Where that moment in his career was kind of like the beginning of him sacrificing his morals a little bit. You know what I mean? And kind of Lucy alongside that, having to sacrifice her morals in a different grander scale. And you kind of see like the beginning of the path that he was sent on, that leads him right to here. And we can assume that not having the comforts of anything like television. He probably hasn't seen this movie in maybe 100 years.
200 years, yeah.
Oh yeah, but man, does he ever remember it? That is just like, I just love that we got to see the ending that he was fighting against, and I just thought that was brilliant. A brilliant way to end the episode.
Yeah, so that is the end of episode 4, The Ghouls, which obviously was a big turning point for, most of the characters. Lucy kind of walks out as, okay, I I can't have the same mentality that I had before, but I'm also not just going to become, that ghoul.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to become him. I might look like him, but I will never be him.
Yeah.
Yep. And then Norm and his faithful but dim-witted buddy Chet exploring the vaults and trying to put pieces together.
Norm and Chet the himbo.
Idiot. Yeah, exactly.
God, I love Chet.
Chet's a great character for sure throughout this whole show.
So good.
Yeah, and shout out to the two guys. Who are running for
Woody and Reg.
Overseer.
Yes.
Woody, and those guys are. It's just really funny, like. Anyways, we'll see as we get into the next episode, but it's just the whole voting thing is really hilarious.
So at the end of this episode, I mean, we kind of, most of the stories, the big question that we're left off with, one is, where's Lucy going to go? But you kind of have, she's still looking for her father. But the big mystery now is, how did they get Rose's, the mother's Pit Boy to open the vault?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, what the hell actually happened in Vault 32?
Yeah, and what happened with why everybody's dead and shit like that. Yeah.
I mean, these cryptic messages on the walls, like, what, like, this isn't just some, like, throwaway, just, like, graffiti that you see, like, other properties, like, this is environmental storytelling that the Fallout series is known for.
Exactly. And so much, it harkens back to so many moments in Fallout when you're exploring a vault, and all you really have to go off of is, situational environmental storytelling like this, notes, overseer terminals, things like that. And as we see, like, that's the way that these characters piece this story together, which is cool.
Yeah.
And then also the other thing that gamers may know that show watchers who haven't played the games might not know is that it is unique for these three vaults to be interconnected in this way, right? Like, not every vault is interconnected, and so instantly I think gamers are cued into, like, oh, there's something weird and unique happening here.
Mm-hmm.
So as we'll see in the next episode, like, it was a good, like, intrigue for me at this point in the show where I'm like, oh, like, there's got to be some sort of power dynamic or something going on here. You know what I mean? Like,
and
secrets.
Yeah, we're a couple episodes away, but I wrote a little theory about what I thought the vaults were, but we'll get to that in kind of our next episode. Not episode 5 that we're jumping into here today, but our Storyloaders next
podcast episode.
Next podcast episode. Yeah. So. So at the end of that episode, we're left wondering, what happened in Vault 32? What's Lucy gonna do? And also, what are Maximus and Thaddeus up to? Because the last we saw them, they got the head.
They were celebrating.
Mm-hmm. But now we go to episode 5, The Past.
Oh yes.
And episode 5, the little, before we jump into kind of everything that happens, episode 5 sees Maximus's ruse as Knight Titus coming to an abrupt end. Kind of right at the beginning.
And how?
Yeah, and how. So, episode begins. We go straight to Thaddeus and Knight Titus Maximus. And Maximus is just in the power armor suit. He can't leave because then Thaddeus will know, hey, you're not Knight Titus. So they're, once again, celebrating still. They're so happy. And Thaddeus is like, awesome, brand me! Which is what we see in the first episode with, they put the power, the fist from the power armor into a fire and brand the back of the neck of the Squire, which is just fucking a bit much.
It's a bit like frat housey.
Yeah.
You put the power fist into the fire and then you touch the young boy's neck.
Yeah, that's a bit Catholic priesty. So, go ahead and brand me so I can officially become your Squire. Stuff like that. And Maximus is like, okay, yeah, let's do it.
I love that he first says, "It's late."
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, it's been a long day. Yeah,
I've got a headache. I just want to wash my hair and lay down.
Yeah,
you know.
So he brands Thaddeus, and then decides, now that I've branded you, this is when I can tell you my secret.
By the way, mask up.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew this was a bad idea. I could see he was going for it, and I was like, dude, like not yet. Like give it a couple more days. I know you're like riding this high off of, branding this dude or whatever. He's like, Maximus is interesting where he does have this, this innate lust for being seen as an authority figure or whatever, and he wants to be recognized in some sense, you know what I mean? It feels like, and so any chance that he gets where someone gives him that recognition, he just instantly takes it too far.
Yeah, he's gonna take it. Yeah, he's very much like we hear in the first episode. Why do you want to be in the Brotherhood? Because I want to hurt the people who hurt me. And for him, the quickest way to get that power to hurt people is to be in the Brotherhood and be in this power armor. So now he's in the power armor, he's got it, so now he's the most powerful person, so nothing, he's like, yeah, this is me, and Thaddeus is going to be like, fuck yeah, dude, I'm so glad, I'm so happy for you, blah, blah, blah.
No.
Yeah, and he thinks that it's like the same sort of, he perpetuates the thing that was happening to him as a squire, where he kind of like punks on him, makes him do shit that he doesn't necessarily need him to, like all that kind of stuff.
Oh, but no.
So, yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, this is where you see Maximus is him first, Brotherhood second. Thaddeus is Brotherhood first, Thaddeus second.
100%.
Totally.
Yeah,
and
100%.
oh boy. That whole thing about the ghoul saying read the manual first really comes in key right here.
So, yeah, tells him who he is, and then Thaddeus immediately is like, why are you here? You're dead. Where's Knight Titus? And he's like, yeah, he actually died over here, and I took his power armor because he's dead, and I'm going to find the thing, so you're going to help me.
We just got to get our story straight.
And Thaddeus is definitely not a part of it. Maximus knows he's going to try to stop him and steps on his foot.
Yes. Well, I just love that Thaddeus realized, like, they're going to kill you.
Yeah.
And Maximus is like, no, we'll get our story straight. Like a 13-year-old.
No. Don't tell mom and dad. Don't tell mom and dad. Don't tell mom and dad. Tell him you fell. You fell. I didn't hit you.
You fell. Yeah, you fell. I didn't hit you. Yeah. No,
like,
I know.
It's like, oh no, this is just like.
Yeah, he knows the Brotherhood's going to see right through that. But that, I mean, Maximus is just thinking like, oh, if I bring them what they want, they won't care necessarily. But like, he's pretty naive in that fact, it seems.
Yeah, and Maximus has said that's more important than the 200 years of the Brotherhood. It's like, yeah, I know that I fucked up, but hey, here's a head.
Hey.
Okay.
Take the eyes out, put a candle in there, it'll be a jack-o'-lantern. Come on.
So, yeah, steps on his leg, fucks up his foot completely, and somehow still gets to the back of the power armor and pulls out the power core.
Mm-hmm.
Which, in the games, is fine, because you can still walk around in the power armor, but in the show, without the power armor, you can't do shit.
Totally.
Yes. Like, nothing. There's no... You can't even leave it, because now it's locked up, and it's unusable. And then we see him being like, I'm taking the bag, and he's slowly walking off, limping, with the bag with the head.
And the dog
the giant bag with the head, and the power, the power core, and it's just walking away, and Maximus can't do shit to stop him.
He is screaming. He is begging for his life and threatening Thaddeus all at the same time.
God,
which, like, bro, that didn't work for Titus. Why would it work for you?
Yeah, anyone who's claustrophobic, that's just the worst way to go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then we cut to the morning. He's still stuck there, and now Rad Roaches has found him, which is...
even worse.
One of the worst fucking scenes in this whole show. With a bunch of shit that happens in this show. This was one of the things that I was like, oh god, no. Because the Rad Roaches are climbing up in the suit and trying to like get into like the crevices and everything, and Maximus can't do shit to stop them.
Yeah, that made me super uncomfortable. I hate cockroaches so much.
Yeah.
And they're just like gnawing into like the little innard parts, like, it's so brutal.
Yeah.
And before, they actually get to them, one of the roaches gets shot, and taken out, and you look over, and it's Lucy. She's got the gun that she used to kill the ghoul. She rescues him from the rad roaches and kind of stops it because she sees the power armor, and she thinks, oh, that was probably like Maximus's, but he, hears him screaming and everything. Is like, that's who I am looking for. You're the guy that helped me earlier. Maximus begs her to let her out, and is like, hey, I see that you've got like you need help. I've got Rat away. If you help me out of this thing.
Yeah, she throws up in front of him. He's like, you're irradiated. Yeah. I've got Rat away in the left arm. Like, if you get me out of here, you can have it.
It is a cool little detail we get about the power armor too, like the fact that they just have like chems that are like going in, can be auto administered to you and stuff like that, which is pretty sweet because obviously like you couldn't really use a sting pack if you were in that thing. Mm-hmm. I like that it's just kind of like built into the systems.
Yeah, which makes sense, and there are mods in 3 and on. Well, mod I think in 4. I don't think you can mod it in 3 or New Vegas, but that like add kind of the auto stim and everything, so you don't even have to do it where you get to a certain point and it just heals you because if you have stims, obviously. And she, she agrees to help, but she knows kind of the ins and outs of the T60 because she's just read the manuals in the vault.
Well, before she helps him out, she is super wary of helping him. She's like, listen, I know you, but I don't trust you because everybody up here has tried to kill me. So you're very nice, but also I'm afraid you're going to try and kill me if I help you out. And I just love that turn. Because old Lucy would have been like, sure, whatever.
Yeah, all right, let's go.
Then, and then, head on a stick. Hi, Lucy.
And she kind of admits it's just like, I've just had a really bad week. You know what I mean? But he's kind of in the same place where he's like, yeah, me too, sort of,
Yeah. Shit's happened. I'm Knight Titus, and I've had a bad week. My Squire died.
And then is this where they kind of make their little deal?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she passes out after helping him out. And when she wakes up, he had set her up with the IV drip with the rat away.
Yeah.
And then tells her, hey, this is what happened. He stole something vital to the Brotherhood, and I'm going to go after it. And she kind of realizes that it's the same head that everybody else has been after. And she's like, yeah, I've got a tracking beacon in that head. If you can, lead me to it, and then, take her, you can go with me, help me get the head, and then give me weapons, and I can go kill Moldaver and save my dad.
We take the head, we go back to your Brotherhood.
Yeah.
You give me, 5 or 6 nights, and we go to Moldaver, and I get my dad back.
Yeah.
And we as the viewer know that, we're pretty sure Maximus doesn't have the power to promise that at all.
Yeah. Oh, he absolutely not.
Yeah,
well, yeah, and Lucy in her head is like, this is a knight of the Brotherhood of Steel. So he's got the pull.
And he even says Knight Titus, or whatever.
Yes.
And then we cut back to Chet and Norm, and they're in Vault 32 still, exploring. And they find, I think this is when they get to the door for Vault 31. Yes. And there's just a bunch of dead bodies by it because they're trying to get into Vault 31 and they couldn't.
Yeah, there's a cutting torch and an axe and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then we know what's in there is written on the wall next to the door. And then I'm just like, what? What the shit is going on?
What is in there?
Yeah.
Is it an amusement park? Are they holding that back from us? Could be.
Is it a rich caramel center? What's going on?
But they head back home to Vault 33, and it's time for the election. And the 3 options are Reg, Woody, and Betty. And is this the scene where
Davey is just turning around to Reg?
Yeah, and he's like, "Hey, we're friends. I'm not gonna vote for you." And he's like, "Oh, that's fine." He's like, I'm gonna vote for Betty because I just think she's got more experience. And he's like, "Okay, yeah, that's where we're doing it in secret." He's like, "Yeah, I just wanted you to know."
Yeah, Reg is just yeah. See,
yep. Oh, thanks, dude. Yeah.
Yep, thanks.
And just being like, "Oh, the line's moving."
Yep, line's moving. Yep. And Betty's apparently been overseer in the past. She ends up winning.
Yep.
And
even Reg votes for her.
Yeah, because she's got that experience. And then
he says, "Who am I kidding?" and votes for her.
And I think this is when you hear the line, hey, the thing, when things look glum, vote 31.
31, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't think it's here. I think it's when Davy runs across Woody as he's looking forlornly at one of his campaign posters.
He's like, I ran a good campaign.
I put up at least a dozen posters.
And I think it kind of just like jumps here. So like Betty gets voted in as overseer, pretty much, landslide. Norm is digging through vault records and sees that every overseer from Vault 33 has come from Vault 31, including Betty.
Yeah.
And it's just this, Hank McLean, Vault 31, Betty, Vault 31. And then I think you see a few other names.
It's every overseer of Vault 33 for the last 200 years.
Has come from Vault 31.
Yeah.
So it's obviously just like, it's a management thing, of like, all right, these guys are the management class and these guys are the worker class or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I want to... Let me see if my... I'm just looking at my theory that I wrote down during episode 7. I'm going to hold off on that one. Sorry, because I think that might get kind of into future spoilers, which we're trying to do. No future spoilers here.
Oh, yeah.
So
I will say, as Betty is like serving up her victory cake, I just looked at that and I'm like, God damn it, I want Jello cake. I'm just looking at that. I'm just
so much Jello cake.
I was like, that looks pretty fucking good.
Pretty easy to store Jello packets for a couple 100 years, I'm sure.
Yeah,
right.
Look, guys, the Mormons might be onto something with their fucking Jello. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Between the Mormons and the Midwest, we got Jello handled, baby.
You got Jello and corn. That's all you need to live.
That's all you need, baby.
The American dream.
So we cut back to Lucy and Maximus. Now they're kind of traveling together. Out of I think you see a little shot of them trying to like hide the power armor because it obviously can't go anywhere.
Yeah, Maximus, like as Lucy's making her deal, he's got it all laid down. He's throwing blankets, tarps, whatever over it because listen, the Brotherhood's going to kill him either way, but they're really going to kill him if he loses a suit of their power armor.
Right.
Ooh, like there's no coming back from that.
It'll become some sweet Raider power armor for
a little plot thing in, I believe, Fallout 2, where the main character infiltrates the Enclave.
Oh yeah.
And goes to their base on the oil rig without power armor, and then the sergeant's like, "Where's your power armor?" "Oh, you lost it, didn't you? I can't believe you. That's coming out of your paycheck. You're gonna pay." In like is being like, you don't know how expensive that is. Blah blah blah. You're paying that back. Go get another one. It's like, no, all right, well, that's cool.
Right.
But this was actually the one note that I took for this episode before I really started taking notes and notes and notes for the episodes. As they're walking, Lucy's like, "Hey, what happened in the last 200 years since the bombs dropped?"
Yeah.
And Maximus is like, "What? No, the bombs dropped when I was a kid." And Lucy's like, "Oh, yeah, is that what they told you in your little Brotherhood?" And that's kind of how this ends right here.
Yeah.
So Lucy knows the history of America where the bombs dropped 200 years ago, and Maximus is like, "No, they dropped when I was a kid." So then you're like, fucking, how old is Maximus?
Yeah.
And once again, that goes back to, if you've played the games, you know that there are different vaults that do different things. Maybe was Maximus in a vault? Was he, like frozen or something? And they dropped, he went to sleep, woke up, and now he's here. What happened?
Yeah. Timelines can get funky in the Fallout universe. And like, I was a little confused at this point where I was like, wait, because, they're talking about the whole Shady Sands incident and stuff. And I actually didn't know this until later, but that, I guess, is a location reference to either Fallout 1 or 2.
Yeah, Fallout 1 and 2. Shady Sands is a major kind of hub,
location,
almost, like an area in Fallout 1 and 2. Yeah.
But, then you're like, it's just interesting. You're talking about, it's cool to kind of play to the audience and saying, hey, you guys might have misinformation, or like, you think you know the history of things, but you've all been seeing it in pieces. So it's kind of like playing on that hearsay thing that happens where like, I don't really know. I just get my information from whoever tells it to me, so.
Yeah. He's like,
I think
the bombs dropped when I was a kid. I joined the Brotherhood. And, you kind of remember that there's these flashbacks of Maximus coming out of a refrigerator.
Yeah.
And that's where he sees the Brotherhood, like the knight. Go ahead.
Pretty
Mike.
funny. Yeah. Go for it.
Well, and then I think also that this is where Lucy kind of springboards into talking about like how she didn't know any like for the longest time she thought the big light bulb in their vault was the actual sun.
Yeah.
But then she's like, oh, it was just I swore I could have felt it just, warming me up, but that just would have been my mother.
Yeah.
I'm like, that must have been a hell of a light bulb.
Yeah.
Well, because you remember the vault that they were in, they had that whole where the crops are, like,
yeah,
it's set up to kind of make you feel like you're outside.
Yeah.
So
but
the little kid is being like, I thought this giant thing this giant light was a sun, and I felt the warmth, but that was just my mother. And once she was gone, I didn't feel that warmth anymore.
Yeah, but then, my mind went to, wait a minute, Lucy's mom's pet boy opened the door to Vault 32.
Yeah.
Has Lucy actually seen the real sun?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just in the back of my head now. And I'm like, wait just a goddamn minute. Like, this is either very, like, flowery metaphor-laden, like, nostalgia for her mother, which I've done that myself.
Sure.
Or, wait, holy shit, she was outside at some point.
Yeah.
That's what I gleaned from it, too. It felt like, oh, maybe you're not entirely, or, remembering, you're having some blurred childhood memories of where you were.
You're a little kid. You're the easiest to lie to at this point. It convinces you something didn't happen.
Yeah.
Like, also, you're not gonna remember these horrible memories until 30 years down the road when you're in therapy.
Shout out to the second major pop culture reference of someone being saved from a nuclear blast in a refrigerator, a.k.a. Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull.
And I forget his name. There's a little kid in Fallout 4 that you find in a refrigerator who's apparently a little ghoul kid, and he's apparently been in there for 200 years.
Yes.
Or he's just a ghoul kid and he's just playing a prank and he's like, I've been in here for so long, but he actually hasn't. But, that's neither here nor there. So as they're dropping, they're walking, and he's like, yeah, the bombs dropped when I was a kid. And he's like, did the Brotherhood tell you that? So they get to a bridge, and on the other side of the bridge, there's two survivors, like two other people.
Yeah.
And neither side wants to cross.
Nope.
And they're like yelling at each other, being like, we don't have a weapon. Do you have a weapon?
Max?
Like, no.
Yeah,
Maximus. Do you have a weapon? Like, no, I already said I don't have a weapon. Like,
yeah, Maximus just jumps in the driver's seat for this interaction.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's like, we're unarmed.
It shows too that like Lucy still has some naivete because she's kind of like, why are we doing this? Like, we're all just people. We can just be people. You know what I mean? She still thinks like, like there's no reason we have to just be instantly hostile to these people.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Lucy.
There's no there's no battle music. Nope. I think we're safe.
Yeah.
High intelligence, low perception, Lucy.
There you go.
So Maximus is kind of like, Maximus is of the mind that these two are going to kill us. Lucy is of the mind of these are two other people. Hey, everybody, let's just go ahead and cross path. We'll have our arms up. You go on that side, we'll go on this side. Everyone's going to be fine. They do that, and as they get closer, you kind of see that these are obviously people that live out in the wastes. As we start to kind of get, during the center, they reach in, they grab weapons, and they shoot. Maximus gets hit in the arm, and he, quickly grabs her pistol, takes both of them out, because he's recognized that they are fiends, which once again is kind of not really a faction in the games, but a fiend is Are they a faction, or is that just kind of their word for they're cannibals?
Yeah, they're cannibals. Yeah. I don't think they're maybe I don't really remember. In Fallout 4, you do find like the occasional fiend, and they're labeled as such. But I don't think there's any sort of like real quest line or anything like that with them.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember, but yeah.
But before the shooting happens, there's this great like little editing thing that happens. You see the one, like the female fiend's face, and it just kind of keeps, like, every time that goes between her and Lucy's arm, you just cut in a little closer as it jumps back and forth.
Yeah.
She sees the Pip Boy.
Yeah.
She knows, oh, untainted flesh.
Yep.
We're eating good tonight. And then that's when they draw and
Yeah, she gets like noticeably like hungry or mouth watery there for that last shot, and then it cuts to them being like, yeah, and then Titus, and then not Titus, Maximus unloads.
In my notes, I go between Titus and Maximus and Max interchangeably.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so he shoots the both of them, and then takes a bullet that he says is just grazed his shoulder, but
happens all the time.
We'll see.
Again to Lucy, he's still trying to put on a bit of that face of like, yeah, I'm a knight. I'm a
knight. This is nothing to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cut back to the vault, because unless I'm mistaken, do we even really see the ghoul in this episode? I think we're kind of.
No, I don't think so.
Ghoul.
No, I don't think there's any ghoul in this episode. Anyway, kind of like the last one where there was no Maximus, but now we've got Maximus and Lucy. So we go back to the vault. Norm finds Chet and is like, hey, I found this thing about the Overseers. Like, they're always from Vault 31. And Chet's like, oh yeah, it's because they've got better education and, the slogan, when things look glum, vote 31. But
he's like whispering it.
Yeah. Which is like why, kind of that thing where the people in Vault 33, it's very obvious that people who come in and are overseers are like from Vault 31, and there's a very obvious trading of people going through the vaults. So you've got these 3 vaults. 31, comes over for the overseer. 32 is where they're trading people to procreate. So it's these 3 vaults that are working together to the people in Vault 33. And this is just what they know, because there's this saying, when things look glum, vote 31, because, hey, if we need a new overseer, we've got democratic elections where we're voting for people, and if you want the best thing, vote for whoever's from 31. But
yeah, they said, I think his, I don't know if it's her dad who says it or earlier in the show, but they say like they have maybe better education and the mashed potatoes taste better.
Yes. That's here. So Chet says, there's better education systems in 31, so that makes sense.
They have better resources.
They have better resources, and he's kind of whispering, and Norm's like, why are you, whispering? And he's like, oh, because Steph is from 31.
Before that, he says, it's a powerful slogan.
Yeah. It's a powerful slogan.
The words actually have, and then, oh, by the way, Steph's from Vault 31.
Yeah. And then, obviously she walks in, and Norm is like, hey, how's Vault 31 different from 33? And instead of answering, she's like, oh, your dad's from 31. What did he say? He's like, oh, he said the mashed potatoes were better. And she's like, I guess that's what it is.
Yeah.
Super
weird.
Kind of a weird thing to say. But, So she probably hiding something, but what is she hiding? We have no idea. Something's kind of different in 31. You're getting that vibe that something is different in Vault 31. What's happening there? Why are they coming here? Like, is there like an experiment? What's going on?
Yeah.
And now go back to Maximus and Lucy, and they reach Shady Sands, and a billboard for Shady Sands, which once again is a very pivotal place in Fallout 1 and 2. Excuse me. And the billboard says, welcome to Shady Sands, the first capital of the new California Republic, settled in 2142, population, it's like 21,000 people.
Yeah, 34,000. Yeah, something like that,
Yeah.
My note here is Lucy learned some new American history.
Yeah, yeah. So seeing this billboard kind of snaps in her head. No, this can't. That's after the bombs fell. That can't be right. We were always told there's no civilization without the vault dwellers, and that's our whole thing.
What about Reclamation Day?
Yes, which Reclamation Day popped me as somebody who loves Fallout 76 because that's how the game starts. Is you wake up and it's Reclamation Day. It's your day to leave the vault 20 years after the bombs have dropped to go out to Appalachia and save the world.
And sing John Denver at the top of your lungs.
Sing John Denver at the top of your lungs. And do what Lucy has been told is what she's supposed to do, is once everything settles down, the vault dwellers are going to go up, repopulate the earth, rebuild everything, rebuild civilization. But now she sees, okay, almost, 100 years after the bombs dropped, 80 years, whatever, there was this place with tens of thousands of people
rebuilding,
repopulating.
Yeah. And it looks like, a piece of the city, you know what I mean? Like of wherever it is, Burbank or somewhere, Anaheim or East, somewhere near LA that they are. But then, for her, it's like so disheveling because it's like, it's gutted her whole sense of purpose, you know what I mean? Where she's like, oh, I thought we were doing something kind of noble, by like living and surviving. And then, you think back to some of the earlier episodes when she's like, essentially bred just to like be a reproducer and keep the vault going, you know what I mean? She talks about like sperm count.
The first thing that you hear her talk about is, like, this is my build, these are my stats, and I'm
special stats. Yeah,
this is my special, and I'm sexually, like, I'm viable for procreation. Yeah. Send me to Vault 32 so I can be married and have kids. You know?
So like, that whole programming and it's almost like her waking up from like her cult moment, you know what I mean? Of being like, oh, like I was just being told the wrong thing my whole, youth and existence.
I've been told this, and what I've been told is not even necessarily a lie, which is, I think, what you've got to remember is, she's told when, Reclamation Day happens, we're all going to leave the vault, we're going to repopulate, we're going to recreate civilization, because there's no way that anything's happening up on the surface. And now she gets here, and all she's seeing so far is, there's the only people that are up here are self-serving people who, there's no civilization here. There are people surviving, doing whatever they can to survive. And now this is the first thing that she sees, that is, no, people were here together, working together. And, she's like, I can't believe this happened. And Maximus is like, but it didn't last.
If it makes you feel any better, it didn't work.
Yeah. And they walk forward and the camera pans behind them and there's just a giant bombed out crater.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think something that you have to keep in mind is Lucy's Pip-Boy is not making a sound.
No.
Yeah.
Which means that this couldn't have been a nuclear attack.
No. Like, this is... And...
Because we're in, I think, 2207? That the years...
Must be...
No, it's 2281?
Yeah, 2281, because I mean, there's in Shady Sands, there's a library book which is stamped 2276.
Yeah.
Which is the year before Fallout 3 and 5 years before Fallout New Vegas takes place. So yeah, we must be a little bit later than that. I know the show is the furthest we've seen in the Fallout canon.
Yeah, the show is even 2296.
2296, yeah. So, like, even if it was bombed right after it was, started in 2142, there would still be the radiation spikes, because you still have that in other parts of the world from the bombs falling, from, the Great War. So there's her Pip-Boy's not going crazy. So either that was them forgetting to put that in there, or these bombs were not nuclear that destroyed this place.
And even you think about Max getting out of the fridge, seemingly right in the midst of Shady Sands.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like
there's
and
destruction all around him, you know?
and he would have, if he was coming out of a fridge directly after a nuclear bomb happened, he would have died of radiation sickness.
Well,
So
I mean,
this is obviously just
no,
human on human
remember,
violence.
Indiana Jones, okay?
You're right.
survived
And the
in a
original
Frigidaire.
treatment for Back to the
Sorry.
Future.
You're right.
Okay.
Yes, there it is.
Back to the Future was supposed to end with a nuclear bomb explosion that Marty and the Doc survived by being in a fridge. Just a fun fact about one of the greatest films ever made.
Didn't need it. Yep.
No, it was perfect. Perfect trilogy. Fight me.
I don't know about 3, but
Fuck
I'll give you the I'll give you 1 and 2.
Anyway, yeah, so we get the backstory of Maximus saying, you know, I lived here. And you see, when he was a kid, this is when he was in the fridge, survived the bombing, saw the Brotherhood Night, and that's what he's kept in his mind.
Yeah. Lucy sees the crater and is like, I wonder if anyone survived.
Yeah.
And without looking over, he's like, I did.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And then...
yeah.
So what's interesting about this, as far as, you know, reading into future stuff that might happen in the show or whatever, is just it's interesting to wonder what happens with the new California Republic, because obviously we see them pretty prevalently in New Vegas and all that stuff. Obviously that's earlier than this. So yeah, it's interesting to wonder.
The California Republic is also very big in Fallout 1 and 2, which are both take place essentially almost in the area that we're in for the show. You know, they take place obviously in California and, like, you know, the remnants of like LA and stuff. So
totally, yeah. So yeah, it's interesting to wonder what happened to the NCR and if they'll pop up again later, which maybe they will.
We'll find out. Mm-hmm. No future spoilers. As he's remembering this, telling Lucy, you know, his story. Lucy notices that he's actually losing a lot of blood from this flesh wound.
He's a little woozy.
Yeah. And she's like, we need to get you help. And he's like, no, we got to find the head. She's like, no, we can find the head after we find you some help, because you're gonna fucking die.
You're gonna die, bud.
Yeah. So they, you know, kind of search through, and they find Hawthorne Medical Laboratories, a Vault Tech facility. And I don't know about you guys. I don't know if you saw anything when they first started shooting the show, but there were pictures of, like, this kind of parking lot with the Vault Tech logo that came out when they were first shooting the show. Okay. So this is one of the first things that we saw, you know, kind of back, you know, behind the scenes thing of this kind of parking lot for this lab. And Maximus is like, all right, we got to be careful. Lucy's like, I'm going to go in. I'm going to find you a stim pack. You hang out here. She goes in, you know, she doesn't come back for a while, so he decides to go in after her. And it's the, you know, the zombie movie, the horror movie. There's neon lights that are kind of pulsing and all this stuff. It's a little crazy. He sees a door marked medical supplies, opens it up to start going through. The door closes behind him, and he goes to reach out to a handle for the door that's in front of him, realizes that it's painted on the wall, and there's not a door, and he's stuck. Lights go out, he drops
smoke
down.
Comes in.
Yeah, smoke comes in, he drops down.
So, before that, I want to go back to when he first walks in. So the lights aren't just pulsating. They are pulsing from the front door to the next door. Like, it is just like a stream of light. Just like
guiding someone.
Exactly. Just kind of like subtly being like, oh, keep going, buddy.
Yeah.
You know? And then it's just like, it's literally just funneling him to the trapdoor.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't notice that on my first 2 watch throughs.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't notice that this time, yeah.
Yeah, I just noticed that because I watched this episode like 2.5 hours ago. So.
The painted on door is a really nice touch of that too. We're like, oh wow, they really thought this through.
He sees this, he opens up one door, it closes, then he goes to open it, and then lights go out, smoke, he falls down. We're back in Vault 33. And Betty, Overseer Betty.
Vault meeting, everybody.
Yeah.
Emergency meeting.
Emergency meeting, you know, for the new Overseer. And she tells them, hey, I've spoken with Vault 31's Overseer, and we've decided on a resettling campaign where some of you will be moving to Vault 32, some of you will be staying here. And in order to get, like, hey, this is what's going to happen, we're going to go and tour Vault 32. The vault that Chet and Norm were in, presumably days ago.
And they look at each other like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. And they're like, why would they do that? Because they're both thinking that everyone's going to see, like, what happened there,
Yeah. So we walk in there, immaculate.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, there's some minor cover-up things that aren't
well, it's very obvious that things were repainted and stuff. And I think they even say, we had to repaint it because of the Raiders. I think there's kind of that, like, things were a little crazy, but, we went in here and we made it look better.
Yeah.
Without saying, we just came in here 2 days ago and got rid of hundreds of dead bodies that have been here for years.
Yeah. But them, like, just painting over blood on the walls.
Yeah.
That's something they did in episode 2. Like, in Vault 33, it's just like, oh no, they're literally just trying to cover up the bad things.
Yeah, they're not clean. They're just covering it up. They're not really cleaning it. Yeah, so, and I think it kind of, goes back, it kind of does the shots from when they were first in there. Like the window where you see the dead body is just a window with curtains. Like the blood on the wall is just painted over and stuff like this. All those signs that shit happened here are gone. The lights are all on. Everything's bright and beautiful. Everything looks like almost a brand new vault.
Yep.
Then we get to the Overseer's office. Norm goes back to the Overseer's office where we found, obviously, the Overseer last episode that was all tied up. It is completely fine, except for the terminal, which has now been destroyed.
Yeah, it looks like somebody punched through the side and ripped something out of it.
Yeah. As he's looking at it, Betty walks up, scares him. Have you found anything? And he knows that she knows that he knows something.
Yeah, they're on to each other on some level.
Yeah. So he says, hey, congrats on the cleanup.
Yeah, or like, nice job cleaning up.
Nice job cleaning up, yeah.
Which is really smart because it doesn't actually admit anything because they even said to them, like, we had to clean up because it was Raiders,
because it was taken over by Raiders recently.
Yeah. So, like, he technically is just saying, like, the thing that you could be saying, like, that's polite, but also they're both very much in the know that something is disconnecting here.
And then this is something that I don't want to say why, but the watchers, viewers, if you haven't watched the show, keep this in mind. Norm then is like, hey, do you remember my mom's Pip-Boy and what happened to it? Like, when she died?
Yeah.
And Betty says, yeah, it was buried with her. And he's like, well, how do you know? And Betty looks at him and says, well, because myself and your father buried your mother together.
Yeah.
And it was on her. And then she turns around and leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, she had it on when your father and I buried her together after she passed. Which is like, that's a weird thing to say, Betty, to somebody who's lost their mother. Like,
oddly specific. Thanks.
Yeah. But yeah. So she leaves the room. Norm is, very short and confused. Cut back to Lucy and Max. They're waking up, lying on gurneys. And you get the idea, like, oh, shit. Oh, God.
Oh, God. Not again.
Yeah. And Lucy's like, looks around, and you can tell that she kind of knows what's happening. And Maximus gets up, and he's like, what? Where are we? What's happening?
He's all panicked.
He's panicked. He looks out the window. He sees a ton of people in vault suits walking around and says, where are we? And Lucy says, you're in the best place in the world. We're in a vault.
Credits.
Great episode.
So now we've got Lucy and Maximus in a vault after being kidnapped, presumably.
Something?
something.
It feels like a pretty trappy scene, as far as getting them in there. So
like they didn't roll out the welcome mat; they literally trapped you, like an animal.
It's also interesting that this vault is like beneath a supermarket. You know what I mean?
No, this is beneath like the kind of the hospital.
Oh yeah, it's a hospital.
Like laboratories or whatever.
Which is in and of itself a vault tech thing. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
okay,
which makes sense because this is a vault tech facility, and now here's the vault that was connected to it essentially. But yeah, we are with these two there in the vault. The ghoul, the last time we saw him was in the Super Duper Mart watching himself. Kind of weird.
And partying.
Yeah. Norm.
A bunch of drugs.
Vault 33 is going to be split up into Vault 32 and 33, so we'll see what happens there. And we are kind of on a roll, and I think like the next few episodes all kind of really go together. It's really like that's the 6, 7, and 8 are the finale.
Yes.
This is the finale arc. It's cool. These 2 episodes that we talked about, it's a cool little like swap where we get the ghoul and Lucy with the vault kind of that being the dual planes of action, and then in episode 5 having Maximus and Lucy, and then the vault being the dual planes. So it's cool how these kind of 3 protagonists have kind of swapped spots. They've all had these interesting interactions between like Maximus and the ghoul fighting in an earlier episode. Like each one of them has had their own little unique relationship, and then it'll be cool to see, in the next couple of episodes how they all kind of come together.
Yeah. And it's I think what stood out to me a lot watching it is, a ton of the pre-release hype was about, Maximus and was Lucy, the ghoul, and Maximus. Kind of in that order. Almost even the ghoul, Lucy, Maximus. Mm-hmm. And yet these last 2 episodes, the one story that's been the same that we've been watching is Vault 33. And what's happening with Norm and Chet and what's happening down there. So that's it's very obvious that this is a really important part of the story, but we don't know how it really affects everything else.
And it's a cool, vault stories are always like from the games are always, you find them throughout your journey on the wasteland sometimes, because you'll start in one and that'll have its own usually pretty big ramifications on the story. But then you'll jump in periodically and find other vaults along the way, and they usually have their own story to tell. So there's kind of like a bit of harkening back to that in the show, which is cool. Always checking in on these vault scenes, and with the 3 different vaults, 31, 32, and 33 in this one, and then the one that we're about to join into, you get all these different perspectives of how the different vaults are constructed and what their little weird mind games or social experiments that they're doing within them, which is a weird and fun part about Fallout.
Yeah, and one of the things that as like somebody who's played the games is and I don't know about you guys, but the first thing I thought of when they woke up in a vault isn't, oh cool, they're in a vault. It's, okay, what was this vault's experiment?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like, okay, what? Okay, 33 seemed to like we're understanding now that something might be happening, but for the most part it seems like 33 was just a, hey, you live here, you're safe until we go up. You know. So what was this one? Because they're obviously not all that. Especially we saw 32. 32's going crazy, killing each other. So what's this one? Which is just, my mind is just like, what is going on in here? Why did they get kidnapped? What the fuck is up with this vault? And when he looks out the window, he just sees people walking around, and it's like, okay, that's odd, but like your mind is kind of going to a bunch of places. Like, okay, you're in a vault. Are they going to get fucking eaten? Are they going to get killed? What's going on here?
Well, remember earlier in this episode, Maximus admits that he didn't know that people lived in vaults.
Yeah.
He thought there were monsters down there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's just like, we're in a vault, and he's just like, oh shit, there be monsters. Just looking at that part of the map where they just didn't know where anything was. Didn't know Australia was there, so it's just a drawing of a sea monster.
Totally. Yeah, no, it's an unknown for him. So,
Yeah.
and yet she's so optimistic. So he's just kind of like,
Yeah.
well, okay, whatever. I'm along for
Yeah.
the ride. Yeah.
Which I think she kind of slips back into that, pre-surface mindset of I'm in a vault, everything's perfect.
Yep.
Totally.
I'm safe. This is everything I wanted.
Yeah, I'm back in the womb. I'm fine.
Yeah, she kind of ignores the fact of the circumstances.
No, Siri?
How they got
why
there.
did she hear that?
I don't know.
Siri on my watch. Heard back in the womb and I'm fine. He's like, okay, let me help you out.
She's like,
no, Siri, I don't need help.
Glad to hear you're safe. Oh man.
So yeah, we're leaving our characters here, and we are coming back next week to go through episodes 6, 7, and 8. We're just going to do all three of them. It's probably going to be a much longer episode than this because there's a lot of shit that happens in those three.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, they do kind of go together, so I think it's probably a good way to go about it.
Yeah, that was kind of the idea. Is like, these, almost 4 and 5, these two kind of go together because you see Lucy leave one thing, go here, and 32 is kind of going, or 33 is going there and stuff. So,
like it is one continuous arc that they had to break up.
Yeah.
Or for just the reason that you can't have 5 45-minute episodes and then like 90 to 100 minutes in one block. Like you can't do that. So,
so Gage, how at the end of episode 5, how are you feeling about the show?
This show never really there maybe like episode 3 and 4 because I watched them in kind of a weird way. We watched episodes 1 and 2 together, and then we watched episodes 3 and 4 together, and then we kind of binged the last bunch of them. I think maybe we watched like 5 by itself and then kind of binged the last 3. So I do remember like 3 and 4 specifically being my lull, but I actually like looking back at these 2 episodes now, they do a lot to like set up the intrigue of what's the final like kind of arc of the show is going to be. And I actually think episode 5 was one of my favorites because of like the very like almost severance-y nature of the vault stuff that's happening, where like you're getting more of the kind of I don't know, the politics of it and like just the intrigue, right? Like you're slowly unraveling, because as a Fallout player watching the show that like there's gonna be something maybe not fully sinister but odd and freaky, and so as it does start to be revealed to you like that is the real case, like I just was like, oh, okay, cool, I'm excited to like find out the weird dark shit that's surely behind all this, I really liked it. And again, like the show didn't really have a lull for me, but I do remember kind of episodes 3 and 4 being a little bit like, all right, where are we going? Like I was initially hooked, and then I wanted to know how things are going to kind of play out, and then episode 5 me being like, okay, no, they're going somewhere with the show, and I'm ready to see what happens, so
yeah. And it's I was kind of in the same boat, and bringing up Severance is perfect because that's what the stuff in the vault feels like. Is it for the show Severance? If you haven't watched it, go ahead and watch it. It's an incredible show. But the whole point of that show is like essentially when the main character goes to work, his mind kind of gets shut off and he becomes work him, and then when he leaves, his mind shuts off and he's home him. So he doesn't know what's going on in work.
Or vice
and at
versa.
work, he doesn't know who he is outside. So he's kind of, you see those two worlds where there's that one world that's the real world, and then you see the idealistic office space, and everything's perfect. But what is perfect? And that's Vault 33 is, you see the idealistic civilization, you see everything's perfect, but now you're digging into it, and you're like, what? This isn't just this. What's going on here? So, yeah. Watch Severance.
It's cool. And it's all unraveling the same way that Severance kind of does at certain points where you're like, I know there's some weird shit going on here, but then here you start to feel that unraveling of the perspectives. And then you get these cool mirrorings of the same sort of thing where Lucy is also finding out about the history of, and having bits and pieces of her innocence taken away. And it's just it's a cool turning point from the end of last episode where Lucy's starting to feel like, okay, I'm going to I'm gonna have to use part of these wastes to like become something new, even if I'm gonna hold on to my values. But then at the same time, she's still clinging to some of it, and like when she goes into a vault, like we see, like that naivete springs forward again.
Yeah, it just comes right back, and she's just like, "Yep, we're fine. We're good here. We're in a vault. Perfect."
Voila.
So, Mike, what about you? What are you kind of thinking at this point in the season?
Like, immediately, I'm just like, okay, what horrors are awaiting Lucy and Maximus?
Yeah.
Like, that is that. But then in, like, the grander overall thing, like, in these 2 episodes, I mean, we missed, like, characters were just kind of not shown. And at no point was I just like, I really feel like the Ghoul would have been good. Or I'm just like, I'm craving some Maximus. No, like...
Yeah, like in the last episode, I wasn't like, what's going on with Maximus? I was like, okay, yeah, I'm seeing this story of Lucy and the Ghoul and Vault 33. And then in this episode, okay, I'm seeing the story of Lucy and Maximus and Vault 33. Like, the Ghoul isn't here, he's not part of it, but I know where we left him. We're cool,
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm just like... And now I'm more kind of focused on just be like, yeah, I hope Lucy finds her dad or fucking whatever that shit's going on.
Yeah.
What's up with Vaults 31, 32, and 30?
Yeah.
Like that is the groundwork. Like that is the bedrock for so much of these episodes.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, good Lord. Like this is the resolution I want.
Yeah.
Like, fuck what's happening to those other pairs of people up there on the surface. This is the story I want resolved.
This is the meat and the potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the gravy. That's why it's on top.
There it is.
But now...
Oh, yeah.
Now, next...
Well,
so now Maximus and Lucy are like the peas, I guess, and the corn, because now they're both now they're on the side. I don't...
They're mixed in somewhere.
Oh, God.
You know what? We'll work on the metaphor for next.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah.
We'll figure that out.
Right.
We'll figure that out. Yeah. So yeah. Gage, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Appreciate it, man.
Okay.
Yeah, man, it was super fun, and more excuse to talk all things Fallout. I'm down, and yeah, this is cool. It's good to like going back through the episodes. You realize more things. You're able to like see some symbolism differently. So it's a good way to go about it. So yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Of course, brother. Come back anytime. And before we head out, tell people once again where to find you, what you're up to, what you're doing.
Sure, yeah. One more time, I'm on the podcast Neon Pocket Dimension, a pocket dimension where all things nerdy exist in harmony. We stream live on twitch.tv/Neon Pocket Dimension Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Pacific time, and then the episodes come out on YouTube on Fridays, usually around 11, something like that. And then I'm also check out our channel on Neon Gaming Dimension on YouTube. There we have reaction videos to trailers and stuff. We've got tier lists, discussion topic videos.
I think just today it was kind of the quick reactions to the ID at Xbox Indie Showcase. That was
Steven and Jacob put out a little like breakdown video where they just say like their literal like three word takes on each game because a lot was announced. So yeah, we do fun stuff like that all over there, and then. To find out all of our stuff in one place, or anytime we do announcements, you can follow us on Twitter at NPD Squad is the Twitter there. That's for all the channels there. So yeah.
Yeah, and we'll have like the links to the Twitch and the Twitters and stuff in the description here on YouTube and over on Spotify and stuff. So we'll have all that.
I forget my camera does that sometimes, and I don't really know how to trigger it, so it just happens.
Mine's supposed to. I've got a Mac, and apparently when you do this.
But it doesn't do it on command. It just decides randomly when it wants to do it.
Yeah.
So whatever.
Mike, what are you up to? You coming back to streaming soon or?
At some point, I don't know.
Yeah. A lot of shit happening in the real world, and we're busy doing this now. It's kind of.
And also, as my girlfriend pointed out, we're not really beginners, so there might have to be an entire rebranding of Nerding for Beginners.
Nerding for Intermediates.
Just. Cut to me in a couple weeks having an existential crisis on this podcast. So, just drinking Bartons, just wondering what I've been doing with my life.
You've been living. I'm watching Fallout. That's what we're doing.
Damn right, I've been living, drinking vodka out of a plastic jug.
Yeah, it's the only way to drink it. Is there another way?
That sounds actually pretty appropriate for Fallout, also. So
It's very true. I mean,
it's in character.
man, oof. Once we're done here, I will explain to you how I how I did my first watch through of the series, and why I've had to watch it like
And
times.
why he quickly did a second watch through of the series.
Yeah, and now while I'm taking actual goddamn notes.
There you go.
Robert,
Awesome,
what about you, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Twitch occasionally at Mr_Hawks182. I'm just currently playing. I haven't streamed in a minute because I've been playing Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Just off stream, kind of binging it, if you will. And
It's
I'm
a
about
deep dive of a game, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm about 130 hours in. I'm on the final chapter, and I was like, oh, I've got, like last night, I was like, I'm on the final chapter, but I have like 7 side missions that I haven't done yet. So I'm just going to go do all those. And one of them involved they have a dating app in the game where you got to like chat with like, you know, people on Tinder that you match with and try to get a date with them.
Fucking never change, Yakuza. Never goddamn change.
Exactly.
And most of the dates you meet up and you go there and it's, you know, it's like a fat dude and he just starts laughing at you instead of this beautiful girl. And they're all just kind of weird because you're chatting and then you get to a certain point and the other, like the person on the other end is like, oh, I like you, let me send you this. And it's like a picture of like just their butt in like a dress or something, and then it pops up on the screen, hot pic, and Kasuga's like, oh my god, thank you so much. You know, I'm like,
Oh man,
come on, man, that's weird. But I was like, I gotta do all of these to do this fucking mission. Let me rush through them. I love that game. But yeah,
it's so good.
I'm doing that. I think once I finish that, I'll probably jump on to stream and start. I might fucking dive head first again into 76. Really.
All right.
So on Xbox. So Mike, if you want to join me, Gage. I don't know if you play Xbox.
I do. I that's my main gaming living room platform for sure. So
yeah.
I did quite a bit of 76 quite a while ago. It was after the Wastelanders, but not for like a lot of their most recent updates. So I'm sure it's even way evolved from where I'm at.
Oh yeah. I did quite a bit when it first came out. And then I dropped off for a little while, and then when Wastelanders came out, I put another 500 hours or so into it. But then before, like, the last couple big things were released, I kind of jumped off because I was just getting kind of bored of just doing those same missions. So now I have plenty of material to jump back into and go through. So, yeah. If anybody wants to join me on Fallout 76 on Xbox, we'll do it. Yeah. But, yeah, let's get out of here. Thank you all for joining us. We will be back next week to cover episodes 6, 7, and 8 of Fallout, Amazon on Prime's incredible show. Fucking did like 1.2 billion streaming minutes.
Yeah.
Crazy.
In the last month.
Yeah, like, I can't remember the number that, like, but in the first week, it, like, 67 million viewers.
Yeah.
Just, like, insane numbers.
And 5 million Fallout players.
Yep.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, the Steam, like, player counts peaked on every Fallout game.
I mean, did you fucking see, like, top 3 selling games in Australia and New Zealand? Fallout 4, Fallout 76, Fallout New Vegas.
Wow. I'm excited, actually. I bet you at the end of this month, we'll see the NPD or whatever, or I forget what they're called now. It's not MPD, but...
You're NPD, bud. Yeah.
Well, yes.
Hey.
but you know that group that does all the sales breakdowns, and yeah, we'll see what they say. I wonder if there's a Fallout on there. Wouldn't be surprised.
You have to think that Fallout 4 at least is going to be on there because that's been on like the top of most lists. Yeah, especially with the update, even with people saying that it's broken, but it's apparently fine on console.
Totally.
But it fucked up mods, which kind of sucks. It sucks for Fallout London because they were about to release. I'm excited for that one when that comes out. And Fallout Miami, Project 13, Project Arroyo. Fucking so many. Cascadia. Actually, there's a Fallout Cascadia mod that's set in like Seattle, Portland area.
That'd be rad. That'd be super rad.
That's going to come out at some point. But yeah. God, we could fucking just keep talking about this for another hour and a half. 2
I know,
hours.
right? It's easy.
God, it's like, well, anyway, so about the game. No, yeah, we'll let you get out of here. You've got a little baby sleeping there. Mike and I have to continue drinking. Yeah, go wake the baby up. Be like, hey, we did good. We did good.
I got time. Let's get after it.
Let's go.
Here we go.
Yeah, we'll hit the outro music here, and we will see y'all next week. Thank you so much for hanging out with us here this week on Story Motors Podcast. Follow us on YouTube, on Twitter, on Spotify, any podcast services that you use. We are going to be there. If we're not there, let us know, and we'll get there.
Like, rate, review, all that.
Yep. Thank you. Bye-bye.